The best thing that we ever did is that we were always making sure it was covered, that things were covered, even if it was in a moment of chaos.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not, and I think, you really got to make sure that both picture-wise and sound-wise that you're covering important action, because it's so easy to miss one of those things. It's so easy to to make a mistake and not be able to include something in your film because you haven't covered it properly. So I think using a 2-camera or even 3 if you can system really helps ensure, if you structure it properly, that you can make sure that you always cover the action, but you can also get beauty amongst that.
But ultimately it's about feeling, like if we're summing up, it generally about filmmaking. I think it's about how much are you going to immerse yourself as a director, not in what you think things have to be or your own ego, your own vision. But if you're making documentary, what is ruling the roost to some extent is the action, what is actually happening. So if you wanted to go and make a film that's kind of shot in a noir sort of style, but then you go and it's all slapstick, you can't put the noir style on the slapstick. The fact of the matter is you've got to be flowing with what's going on. And in the edit, that's what we did. Our style essentially was shaped around the events to which we were incredibly sensitive, and that's because that's what we've always wanted to do. So if you want to make a film, don't just have something set in your head, if it's a documentary, of course. Be organic, be truthful to what you're seeing. So if you're seeing something that makes you think this is ridiculous, then when you make your film, when you go to the edit room, it's going to look, make it ridiculous because that's how you saw it, that's how you felt it.
I will kind of fess up now and say, I was watching it going, oh, for God's sake. I was kind of Nick, and then I lost Nick. I lost him, and I was very upset that I did lose him to the place. And I just was curious as to your personal positions of it. Obviously you had a great relationship with the festival, they let you film there.
I think you need to go there because I tell you something for free, right? However detached, I live in London, Rob's grown up in Brighton and works in London now. We are British, we're cynical, we're in vogue to some extent, we're not totally left field really. However, this place does have an incredible charm, and the charm is that doesn't matter what they purport or flog to you, ultimately when you've got 1,000 people around you letting go, it's the same feeling as you get when people go to a church or when people go to a rave.
It's very seductive.
It's very seductive. We sound like nutters, but the truth is, watch the film and you'll see that, don't get me wrong, I personally wouldn't dedicate my life to hugging trees. That said, a lot of what I do, going on the tube, swearing, effing and blinding at a red traffic light, is also just as bloody stupid. So, you've got to get real, and you've got to go with what's human and what's real. And as we were documentary filmmakers, we were there to follow our subjects, and so in doing that we were seduced by the place because they were. But that's not to say that now as I sit with you in this cafe that I have an impulse to go and hug that plant. But in the context
please do.
No, I will. Let's see if we can record that on the radio.
You meet some really interesting people there, and it's impossible not to be kind of touched at some point while you're there with this sort of, this sensation of everyone is there, like really trying to kind of exist in a state of what if everyone was just really nice to each other all the time. However much you're happy in your life, if you're having a great life,
good luck to you.
But you never really experience that in normal life, but that's what they're trying to do there, and sometimes you get a little glimpse of that and you kind of think, wow, is this, is it possible that people could kind of exist harmoniously the way they're trying to? And so much crazy bonkers stuff happens there that kind of turns you off to it, but at the same time there's something there, I think.
Well, the thing is, if you let go,
that it's seductive.
If you let go, bonkers stuff happens. Because if I was completely truthful in my day-to-day life about all the people that offend me, that tread on my toe, and I go, oh no, that's okay. Well, no, it's not okay. You trod on my toe, you should have paid attention. And I probably should have told you that you trod on my toe and it was rude. Not, I don't want to fight with you, but I should tell you the truth. And the thing is, the ethos of this place is just kind of, let's be totally truthful here. Even if we may sound a bit mad, or we may even be wrong. You know, I may be wrong to say, oi, you trod on my toe. You know, it upset me. All right, let's, you know, maybe I shouldn't have said it. But there's a sense of kind of truth. And ultimately, over 2 weeks of it, with 20 hours of daylight and, you know, all this peace and love everywhere, you can't argue with the principle of it. You can't argue with the ideal. And the ideal can work in a forest when you haven't got to pay your mortgage and you haven't got to go to work and you haven't got to do all of that crap. But, of course, the ideal is a little harder when you're, you know, on the, you know, Jubilee line trying to get to Bond Street at rush hour. You know, you don't kind of feel the love then.
Even worse, the Northern Line.
Or the Northern Line's even worse, let's be honest. But it is a little bit of an eye-opener, and I think that's what makes the film nice. That's what makes it. That's the little bit that everyone can take away, I guess.
Mm-hmm. We didn't want to kind of paint a, you know, this is this or this is that. We wanted to leave it a bit open, really, with the film.
Well, it's about the characters, isn't it?
Because it is about the characters. We want to be as truthful as we could be to their experiences, and we didn't want to kind of bring our own judgments or ideas about the merits or the pros or cons of this place.
So you're not going to get a lesson, basically, if you watch the film.
Yeah, we don't want to bring a message. You know, we don't want to do any of that stuff. We wanted to be as honest as we could about the experiences that we witnessed, and you know, that's what we tried to do, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Well, as I said at the beginning, 3 miles north of Molkom is playing on Sunday the 30th at 6:30 at the Duke of York's, and at that exact time you guys will be biting your nails at the British Independent Film Awards, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Rob and Corinna, so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for joining us here on the CineCity podcast. Visit www.cine-city.co.uk to view or download this year's full programme, book tickets and receive up-to-the-minute festival news. You can also subscribe to the podcast while you're there to make sure you never miss an episode. The CineCity podcast is created in association with Director's Notes, the weekly film podcast dedicated to the what, how and why of independent filmmaking. Find it at directorsnotes.com.